Welcome to our podcast. Lately, I've been receiving a lot of messages from listeners, and interestingly, many of them ask the exact same question. It usually sounds something like this. I can understand English pretty well. I can watch YouTube videos. I can follow podcasts. I can understand my teacher. But when I have to speak, everything suddenly becomes slow. And honestly, I think this is one of the most frustrating experiences for English learners. So today, I invited someone who has helped thousands of students improve their spoken English. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. And I have to say, that's probably one of the most common questions I hear as well.
Really? Because when I read those messages, I noticed something interesting. Most people don't say, I don't understand English. They say, I understand English, but I can't respond quickly.
Exactly. And that small difference changes everything. Because if you understand English, that means your brain already contains a lot of English. The issue is usually not knowledge. It's access.
Access? Can you explain that?
Of course. Let me ask you this. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went there?
Every single day.
And then 2 minutes later, the answer suddenly appears?
Yes.
Well, the information wasn't gone. Your brain simply couldn't access it immediately. English often works the same way. Many learners know the answer, but they can't retrieve it fast enough during a conversation.
That's actually fascinating. Because another message I often receive says, the perfect sentence comes to me 5 minutes later.
And that's one of the biggest clues. If the perfect sentence appears later, then you already knew it. The problem wasn't knowledge. The problem was speed.
That's such a different way of looking at it. Because most learners immediately assume, I need more vocabulary.
Exactly. And sometimes they spend years learning more and more vocabulary. If vocabulary is the problem, how are they understanding podcasts? How are they understanding YouTube videos? How are they understanding movies?
That's true. You can't understand something if you don't know the words.
Right. Many learners already know far more English than they realize. The challenge is using that English under pressure.
Pressure is definitely the right word. The moment someone starts waiting for my answer, I feel my brain slowing down.
And that's completely normal. Because speaking is different from listening. Listening is recognition. Speaking is retrieval. Recognition is easier. Retrieval requires speed.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Imagine I show you a photo of an elephant. You'll recognize it instantly. But if I ask you to list 20 animals in 10 seconds, that's much harder. Not because you don't know the animals, because retrieval is more demanding than recognition.
Wow. That's a really good example. So understanding English and speaking English aren't exactly the same skill.
They're connected, but they're different. Think of listening as receiving information. Speaking is producing information. And producing is usually harder.
Before we finish, what's one message you'd like listeners to remember?
I'd say this. Don't confuse slow access with lack of ability. If you understand English, you're already much further than you think. The words are there. The knowledge is there. Now the goal is to make access faster. And speed comes from practice, not perfection.
I love that. Don't confuse slow access with lack of ability. That's powerful. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You know what's interesting? The more messages I read about this problem, the more I realize something. Most people think they have a speaking problem. But I don't think they do. I think they have a timing problem. Let me explain. Imagine I ask you, what's your favorite movie? And 10 minutes later, you suddenly come up with a brilliant answer. Well, that means the answer existed. The answer wasn't missing. It was simply late. And that's what fascinates me. Because when learners say, I can't speak English, what they often mean is, I can't speak English fast enough. Those are two completely different problems. It's like ordering food online. The food exists. The restaurant exists. The delivery driver exists. The problem is that your order arrives tomorrow, not today. And conversations don't wait until tomorrow. Conversations happen now. And that's why I wanted to talk about this topic, because I think many learners are solving the wrong problem. They keep trying to learn more English, more vocabulary, more grammar, more expressions. But what if the issue isn't that your English is too small? What if your English is actually trapped in traffic? What if everything you need is already somewhere inside your brain, but the route is too slow? Just something to think about. Maybe you're not as far from fluency as you think. And with that thought, I'll leave you here today. That's enough for now. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.